where everybody is like hyper fixated on how the fuck we're different. I'm just leaning the opposite direction because I don't have the energy to fight or to point fingers or to scream or to worry about who's bad and who's evil. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to focus on doing good and being good.
Hey, welcome to the Fatherless Cheat Sheet. I'm Andrew, your fatherless friend, your buddy, and we're here talking Brooklyn storytelling. I grew up in Brooklyn. That's where I grew up. Of course I did. Look at me. At the map of the subway on my face. Unless I grew up in Rome, there I was in Brooklyn. But today's guest is Kerry Coddett. She's a very talented writer, comedian, actress, director, producer. She does a little bit of everything and she does it well. And she grew up in Brooklyn as well. We talk a little bit about how our surroundings shaped our creative. And you know what? What happens is this, fatherlessness aside, is you grow up sooner in the city. That's it. There's nothing more to say about it. When you're 8 years old and you're schlepping 2 bags of laundry down the street for 2 blocks and you do harder things. God forbid my children will not have to drag bags of laundry down the street. They'll learn how to do it before college, but they're not going to have to do that. So it does shape you. The rich characters in Brooklyn, in New York City, it's a very unique place. Oftentimes it's a hard place that makes hard people, but there are some really wonderful people with wonderful stories and rich histories. And when my grandpa, who I loved so much, when he came over here, the classic story, he was born in 1900, came over to America in 1914 as a 14-year-old and moved to Brooklyn and then, made a life for his family out in Long Island, building roofs and driving trucks, quite literally living the American dream. But his first stop was Brooklyn. And he had that sharp wit that was absolutely honed in that borough. And I think that, I don't know. Anyway, so Kerry, great conversation. She's lovely. She's funny. And I get a real kick out of her. And she was in Stickmen. I'm going to keep talking about this show. You have to understand something about Stickmen. Stickmen was one of the highlights of my career thus far. And I really loved that show. And she was great in the show. And I don't talk about it much with Kerry because I don't want to bother her about it. But we get to hear about her projects. And we had a really fun conversation. I hope you like it. So, the Fatherless Cheat Sheet. Hey guys, welcome to the Fatherless Cheat Sheet. I have Joy from Stickmen. No, I have Kerry Coddett with me. Fantastic comedic actress, writer, director, producer. She's doing a lot of everything right now, and I'm so glad she's joining us. Kerry, hi.
Hi, Andrew. So good to see you.
You too. It's really nice to see you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. And I have a lot I want to talk to you about. I honestly, in sort of since Stickmen, I don't want to talk about that too much because it is what it is. But you were really a pleasure. I'm going to give you a little bit of insider baseball, no pun intended, into that. We had a completely different idea of your role, and then you came in and like we kind of half rewrote the role because we're like, nope, this is the person, this is the actress, this is the person that's going to be doing this in the
I love
show.
that.
Yeah, and it was sort of a no-brainer. We had some fun scenes, and it was just really fun. And honestly, at the end of the day, so few people make me genuinely laugh. It's a true fact. And you're also just very kind. So I just want to go down memory lane for 2 seconds. I don't want to bore anybody, but anyway, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. That seemed like so long ago.
It feels like a lifetime and a half. For me, it's a couple children, a marriage. I'm still married. Don't worry. But anyways, but you've been really, really busy. I want to dig into all that stuff, all your projects specifically. But the first thing I want to talk about is the ease at which you operate comedically and the savvy you have. There's an unforced nature in what you do and talk about. And I can't help but think, obviously, it's intrinsically you, but also maybe a little bit of Brooklyn as well. You kind of, right? And we share growing up in Brooklyn. Can you talk a little bit about how where you and we come from kind of helps that comedic process, that creative process a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine being from another place than Brooklyn. So it's tough to even it's so much a part of, like, who I am, and I know that people are like, being from Brooklyn isn't a personality, but those are people who are not from Brooklyn, and so I get if you're not from
Yeah,
Brooklyn, why you don't understand, but there's just something
yeah.
that we have. Like, I just moved to LA, and,
Mhm.
as an East Coaster and a Brooklyn girl, I'm not supposed to like it, but I love LA for so many reasons. But chief
Yeah,
among them is also that I get to be in LA as somebody from Brooklyn. And so I show up
yeah,
differently. I walk differently. I'm not abiding by the rules. Your aesthetic is not my aesthetic. I like what's
right.
I just, and so growing up in New York, it's like
Yeah.
we call it how we see it. We're just straightforward and we know how to roll with the punches.
Yeah, and I think that's partly I mean, when just the sheer proximity that you are to others in Brooklyn, I think you just have to grow up kinda quickly and be able to deal with adults as a kid, and that's a lot we talk about on this show, sort of growing up a little soon, but, I'm going to the dry cleaner at 7 or 8 years old and having to do a transaction. It kind of it kinda leaves an indelible mark on your character as you go forward. You're taking the subway,
100%.
you're dealing with people, you know what I mean? So how do you creatively and in those writers' rooms and when you're developing shows and being a showrunner and an actress, how do you navigate it when so many different people just don't understand sort of what it means to be from such a unique place?
Um, I don't really navigate it at all. It's not actually like I'm not concerned with how other people perceive me, really.
Yeah,
I'm just literally doing me, and I just show up whoever I am, and I
yeah,
don't make any apologies for it. I don't act any differently. I don't have a different voice. I don't code switch. I don't have a work voice and a friend voice and a house voice. This is the
yeah,
way I speak. This is who I am. And so I just love getting to be me. Like,
yeah,
all the things that make me me, I like getting to do that because I have fun. I don't take shit seriously, and I'm learning that people don't expect that. They don't
yeah,
expect, like, joy in the small moments. Like, I'm on the phone with the
mhm,
IRS because I owe them way too much fucking money, but I'm making the IRS ladies laugh, and we're just
right,
having a good time, and you could tell it just catches her by surprise because it's a
yeah,
humorless, joyless job, but life is too
yeah.
short for that.
Yeah, and I think that's a part what I've seen a lot in your stuff over the years because I have been a fan and been following you, and I just enjoy first of all, just you're super sharp. Being funny, there's no you cannot be funny without being intelligent. That's it. It's not even a conversation. And the second thing is about what you do is that it's very accessible. Like, it's very relatable, and I think that a lot of comedians now and everybody's trying comedy's really hard, but people try to sort of shove things down your throat, and I think your approach is like you said, you could you're co it's connective tissue. You can talk to that person on the phone about this big issue. They don't wanna be there. You don't wanna be there on the phone with them, and you're
Mhm.
probably really making her laugh in a genuine way, and that's a real talent, so you know, keep doing that because we need that. We
Thank
need
you.
that.
I'll try.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, and I wanted to a little bit of, unrelated thing, but related because creative. So, you were in fashion for a while. There's a connection. My wife has been in fashion for many years, so I wanted to just sort of get that out there, sort of for her. She'd get a kick out of it. But do you like what was the first thing you did in fashion, and like what kind of shook out with that? You're obviously very stylish in general from what I see,
Oh,
socials and
thank
stuff. You
you.
are. But tell me about fashion just a little bit before we get onto some of your projects.
Sure. I mean, everything that I'm doing now, I've always been doing. And it's so
Yeah.
interesting to look back in hindsight to realize that I was always a storyteller, always.
Mhm.
And so I even think that my love of fashion is part of storytelling, how I express myself. I grew up, like, my grandmother was a seamstress, and so she taught me how to sew, and I started, like, a design club in 6th grade, and I've always been making stuff, and when I started doing, like, comedy and music videos and sketches, I've always designed and costume designed the things that I put on, and, like, I've always connected fashion to, like, making a statement, and so I remember one of the first things I sold was in high school, and, I sold, like, "Fuck the police" T-shirts. Everything said "fuck." It was like, "Fuck the police," "Fuck George Bush," and I was "Fuck milk, got ganja." Do you remember the got milk ads of,
Of
like, the
course.
early
Yeah,
2000s,
sure.
got milk? So I was like, "Fuck milk, got ganja," and I was, like, 15, and I went out into the streets in Soho, and I
Yeah.
sold them for, like, $20 a pop, and I would make, like, $400 a day, and it
It's a
was
nice
just
take.
like, "Fuck the police. Fuck milk, got weed." And then
Right.
it just evolved through, like,
Yeah.
college. I always was, like, making things, and then, yeah, I make shit and I figure out how to sell it because I only wanna make money doing the things that I like and wanna do.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds
For
about right. I
now,
like
anyway,
that.
the way this economy is going, I might have to do something strange for that change, but we're hoping it doesn't come to that.
Well, I have a feeling you'll be show running, you'll sell a show, something's cooking with all that stuff. I have a good feeling about it for you 'cause, there's a great voice and a lot of talent there, and I think you're saying stuff people wanna hear about. I wanna hear about these great projects you're doing right now. Zeke, Mudhole, can we talk about those a little bit?
Ha ha ha. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, tell us about Zeke first a little bit.
Okay. Zeke is my directorial debut. It's my first short film. It premiered in June at the American Black Film Festival, and we've been like just tearing up the festival circuit. I'm so grateful. We've won a bunch of awards. And so the film is a
Amazing.
very, very New York story, and it's kind of unexpected because it's about a guy who goes to the barber and he gets his hairline pushed back. But for some reason, he keeps going over and over and over and over again. But the real message
Okay.
underneath the film is it's about grooming. Grooming
Mhm.
in the sexual way, the way that predators groom people, and grooming
Mhm.
literally in the barbershop. The whole film is a double entendre, so to speak,
Yeah.
because how I came up with the idea is based on like, all the Me Too stuff that was happening, and even
Mhm.
recently with like Diddy and Cassie. I'd be talking to, like, a lot of my guy friends, and they wouldn't be able to understand why women keep going back. They'd be like, "Well, if
Mhm.
it was so bad, why you keep going back?" And I'm like, "Well, why do you keep going back to your barber? Like, he's
Right.
he's always
Right.
late," and especially, like, with Black men, their barber is the closest thing they'll ever have to a therapist. Their
Right.
barber like, if they find a barber that they like, they're not leaving him, so they put up with
Right.
all this bullshit, and they would be like, "Oh, shit, you're right." And so the film is really just a way to take this. I think that men and women are always so far apart.
Yeah.
Y'all in the manosphere, I'm in the I don't even know what the female equivalent is, but we're always just yelling at each other. And I feel like when it comes to like sexual assault and shit like that, it's hard for men to even fathom because they're not women. But if you take away all of that
Yeah.
and talk about just being in the barber's chair and having him mess up your hair and you not saying anything because you don't want to argue because your barber's
Right.
your friend and he gaslights you and is like, oh no, it's fine. And you go home and you see it's clearly not fine and you find different ways to cope and you do all these things and you keep going back because you don't want
Wow.
to start all over. Like that's what we've been trying to tell men that it's like being a
Yeah.
woman with these things. And so the film has just really been a great conversation piece. It's hilarious, if I do say so myself, and it really I I can't wait for you to see the film because it's really awesome, and I'm
I
happy.
do. I wanna see it. That's fantastic, boy, am I rooting for you, and I think that when you can get such a serious message out there in a way that's sort of, almost comedic and, like, it has different I know it has different sort of tentacles to it. It's sort of really interesting way in, and it does those are the things that do start the important conversation, so that's really great, and I'm rooting for you. I know you're doing some fundraising and things like that to keep this thing moving forward, and I think that's really wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
So that's
It's been a labor
you
of
you
love.
got it. Yes, and as it always is, and I think that when you're as creative as myself, you have to get that steam out. There's no choice but to get the thing out into the world, and it's just right. It's important to do that, especially when you're saying something like you're saying in this short film. So, but
Thank you for that.
now you got it. I want to talk about as well. I know you do stand up. I think there's your Mudhole. I wanna talk about Mudhole because I think this is important as well. It's a I think being able to do a one-woman show to put yourself out there in that kind of vulnerable way is sort of truly impressive. It's a little bit different than everybody's out there drinking whiskey sours and, having splitting mozzarella sticks and cashing out on your last joke. It's not stand up. It's a little bit different. It's more theatrical. Can you tell us about Mudhole a little bit?
Yeah, thank you for actually pointing that out because, um, stand-ups do solo shows as stand-ups, and so this is very much a theatrical one-woman show. I'm playing 17 different characters in it. I'm extremely physical. There's choreography. There's regular choreography, like dancing choreography, because I used
Mhm.
to be a professional dancer, and there's
Wow.
also like fight choreography. I'm rapping in it. So there's like musical, there's improv, there's like it's all these things. And it is like my love letter to I don't even know. Love letter is such a strong word for it because if you see it, you're like, oh, this is some real it's like very vulnerable. It's about my life. It's a coming of
Yeah.
age story, but it's also it's a New York story, but it's also
Mhm.
um just about growing up and being an adolescent and going through so I had a really tumultuous school journey. Like I went
Yeah.
to a private school that was really small and it was Christian and Caribbean and all black people
Mhm.
and I was always me. I always had this big personality. And when you go to any type of religious school that requires you to pray in the morning and wear a uniform, they have ideas about who you should be and they want to fit you in these boxes. And I was
Yeah.
never that. And I was always very smart and I always asked a lot of questions and I was always challenging the authority. And so I
Cool.
was both the gifted kid and the bad kid. Like
Right.
I got skipped 2 grades. So I was the youngest, but I was also a fucking menace. And they
Right.
didn't really know what to do with me.
They don't
And
know what to
so
do with you. Yeah.
so the whole story is just about what happens when I go into the world and I'm a lot younger and I go to Brooklyn Tech, which is the one of the largest high schools in the country. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure it out and I go through the wrong crowd and then I end up coming back and winning. And it's just like a triumphant story about being resilient, about defining yourself for yourself and finding the sense of humor in everything.
Yeah, and it's 17 different roles. Wow.
Yeah.
How does that how does tell me how how do you even start working on that? Is it and are there people that obviously you knew along the way, so you start with sort of that's the basis, right? So these folks that maybe you met along the way, some are made up. Like what how does that even
It's
work?
100% true. There's not a single
Wow.
thing fabricated in the story, and, it came to me in the pandemic. Like, I've
Yeah.
always wanted to do a one-woman show and thought I would do it and never thought about what it would look like, or what the process would be, and during the pandemic, one night, I literally woke up at, like, 3 a.m., and it just poured out of me, and, like, I'll go into, like, these they're not manic because I'm very focused and dialed in, but it
Yeah.
is a kind of mania that
Yeah.
overcomes me, and I cannot sleep, and I'm in a flow, and I'm at the desk for, like, 8 hours just, like, smoking some sativa, drinking some coffee, locked the fuck in, and
Yeah.
it just really poured out of me, and I remember writing my sister because we lived together at the time, I wrote her a note, and I was like, "I just wrote" my sister is my best friend. She's my producing partner. She's my manager. We do everything together. So she's used to this. I've been doing some version of the shit my whole life where
Yeah.
I'll be so excited and I don't want to wake her up. So I'll be like, as soon as you wake up, you need to see what I've just created. And so I
Yeah.
wrote her a note and I was like, I just wrote this show that's going to change our lives. And I signed it and I dated it and I threw it underneath her thing. And now
That's
I'm
great.
about to do it at the Netflix is a Joke Festival here in LA, May 6th.
Amazing.
and Lena Waithe just signed on to be a producer. And
That's
so
amazing.
I'm pumped.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go get it. That's really great. And you know, it's so funny too. I have two daughters, almost 6 and 4 in July. And like the thing that stuck out was that your sister's your best friend. Like I love to hear that because I just want them to have that's so sweet and amazing.
Are
And
they
it just
close? I mean, they're 4
they
and
are.
6. They don't have
Yeah,
a choice.
they don't have a choice, but they are. They kinda they toggle between, hair pulling and pushing and then just hugging and loving on each other. They're much closer than they have any kind of, issue or conflict. Anyway, we're talking about I just mean it's nice to hear that you and your sister are I love that. I love hearing about
We're
that.
like this. You
That's
cannot
awesome.
imagine a closer group. It's disgusting.
Because, like, so the whole show, the whole basis of this show, the Fatherless Cheat Sheet, my old man passed away when I'm always ready, like, I got the life insurance, I'm always ready to get out of here if I had to, God forbid. So I'm like, "Girls, you gotta understand something. Mommy and I are not gonna be around forever." I'm always
Jesus,
like
you're
I'm
one of
always
those?
no, not really, not really. I'm always emotionally doomsday prepping them, you know? So, I'm not. I know, they're little, so but,
No, but
someday I'll
that's
tell
how my grandparents were. I was like, "Oh my god, my grandfather, he lived to 98. He was dying my whole life." I'm just like, "Bro."
That's it. That's oh my god. So it's so funny you said my grandpa died at 100 as well. You know, he died at 100 years old. Oh, speaking of, I wanna ask you about one more thing. In my not one I wanna ask you about a million things, but I don't wanna take too much of your time. But you wrote a show called Blood in Babylon, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Okay, you're not talking about Babylon, Long Island, are you?
sure am.
Come on. So I spent my summers I grew up in Brooklyn, but my family, my grandpa and my aunt and uncle were out there. I spent all my summers in Babylon, West Babylon.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, like, my mom used to say I was like one of those kids that they shipped out to the country for the summers because she couldn't, she didn't know what to do with me. I was a boy, she's a single working mom. She's like,
Yeah.
"Alright, you gotta get the hell out of here." So I spent all my summers in Babylon, West Babylon. All my movies are at the Babylon Theater and everything. Anyway, tell us about the show, Blood in Babylon, and what you're doing with that.
That is so funny. So it's based off a book, and the original book is called Sunrise Highway.
Of course,
And it
okay,
is about the book itself is based on or loosely based on the Long Island serial killer.
okay.
And so this book came out some years ago, and the Long Island serial killer is on trial right now as we speak. So the motherfucker was out there for a long time,
Oh my
killing
gosh.
and getting away with it. Nonetheless, I wrote on a drama for Apple TV in like 2024, and one of the EPs, he is a journalist. He used to work on Law and Order for years. It was
Mhm,
his novel, and when the room wrapped, he was like, just read this book and see if it speaks to you." And so I read the book Sunrise Highway, and I loved the book and thought it was so cool. And the reason I moved to LA is because I applied for this fellowship program that is founded by the head of Netflix's head of film. And so
mhm,
to apply for this fellowship, you had to have several ideas. Two of them had to be original, one had to be based on IP. And because I
'kay,
just read Sunrise Highway, I was like, oh, well, let me just write a one page for this fellowship and see if they like it. And so that's the project that they chose for me to work on and develop. So I've been developing that project for an entire year. And so I've turned it into my own, it's an adaptation, so loose adaptation. So
mhm.
it's still loosely based on the Long Island serial killer, but
Yeah,
and it's set in Babylon, Long Island. But my lead detective, she is NYPD, and so it's
okay.
about this NYPD officer from Queens, who a missing body washes up on shore,
Mhm,
and it's on the border of Long Island and Queens, and so
mhm,
they end up forming a joint task force. So she's working
okay.
with the Babylon boys and it's the NYPD, and she's trying to
Alright.
uncover like who the serial killer is. Meanwhile, she has her own missing sister. So she doesn't know
Okay.
if her missing sister's connected to this in any way, but she's also
Mhm,
super invested in finding out who's doing this to these girls because she's invested. And so what I love about the story is that it's a New York story that we don't usually see because, New
mhm.
York is always in the city and they don't ever really show Long Island unless it's the Hamptons. And so
Right.
when people think about just even whatever people's political leanings are or whatever's going on, like that is the microcosm of the world right now in New York.
Mhm.
Like we grew up with the suburbs right here and the
Yeah,
city right here. And so it's also just about the juxtaposition between the two, inner city, suburbs, middle America. It's just like all these
sure.
dynamics that I'm excited about. So
Yeah, that's and that sounds interesting and a lot of fun, and I promise I didn't mean to dress like I'm auditioning for the Netflix. I look like I'm dressed for Williamsburg Justice right now. I
you
didn't
sure
realize.
are.
But
It's
but I think that the cool part about everything you're saying and all the stuff you're working on is that you have again have to have the intellect for the funny and for the writing. You have a mind on something bigger than the thing only is, and that's sort of interesting 'cause when people don't realize the really good stuff that's out there, they don't even know subconsciously that there's a different sort of subtext to it. So that's cool that you're on top of that. So, I mean, I hope that thing gets going. That you're just kicking ass. It makes me happy.
thank you. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, fingers crossed and just keep at it. And w- when like tell me a little bit about LA right now. And I love going out there. I've been out there a bunch as a Brooklyn guy, as a guy that moved to Jersey when I was 15, 16. I I I look like I don't know, I just feel like I get uncomfortable out there almost sometimes. How are you just sort of adjusting? You said you're loving it so far, right? You're
Yeah.
liking it.
I
Yeah.
love LA. I love the weather. I love the lifestyle. And
Yeah.
just I'm always outside. My dog loves it. He gets to be outside every single day. I love being immersed in this industry right now. I think
Yeah.
the gift of being from New York is that I got all kinds of friends. I live all kinds of lives. There's so much going on. But where I
Yeah.
am in this season of my life, I want to be singularly focused. And I love being in LA because it is a walking vision board. Like I can
Yeah.
look outside my window and see a billboard for a show that my friend is on and wrote on. And so it's that accessible. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to tap into that. And in terms of like feeling uncomfortable, I mean, I've worked a very long time on not giving a fuck and really believing that I'm one of the coolest people in this room. I'm not the coolest, doesn't matter, but I know
Yeah,
that I'm
yeah.
cool. And so I don't care
Oh,
what
yeah.
anybody else has going on.
No, that's true. No, I hear you, and it's just for me, it's more like a sensibility thing and a connective tissue. I have a cousin out there, um, and he's a great guy, and he's in the business, but whatever, I don't wanna get off on a tangent. Okay, tell us real quick as we're sort of wrapping up, just a couple more questions. What's next for you? Are you still doing everything with Zeke, Mudhole, Blood and Babylon? Like, what are you working on, and what should we look out for, I guess?
Boy, literally all those things.
Yeah, okay.
Um, it feels like this year, and it started off last year, but these are all the projects that have been you alluded to it earlier, just about you have to get it out. These are the things
Yeah,
that I've been dying to do for like a decade now.
yeah,
And so longer. Like my one woman show, I've been trying to do thinking about it since I was a little kid. And
yeah,
so I'm just excited to see where those things go. And I just like that I've done enough things now where I know what my theme is, what the connective tissue, that even though it sounds like this one woman show and this random sexual assault comedy about male barbers and then this police procedural, like they all seem so random, but I think the
yeah,
the thing that connects all of my work is the real belief that no matter where we come from, we are all more alike than we are different.
yeah,
And I think that's why you and I relate. Even
yeah,
and it's not just that, yeah, we're from Brooklyn, so we have that in common too. But from the outside, people probably be like, there's nothing these two have in common. But yeah, we do. And even in my cop show, she's from Queens and she's going over for the Suffolk thinking that I have nothing in common with these white boys, but her
yeah,
partner, they find the common ground. And with
yeah,
Mudhole, even if you didn't go to 4 different high schools like I did, and even if you didn't go to school in Brooklyn, you know what
Yeah,
it's like to be a kid and have adults tell you who you're supposed to be, and you're
of
trying to
course.
find your voice. And so there's so
Yeah.
many things that are just a part of the collective human experience. And I feel like in this moment that we're in the world, where everybody is like hyper fixated on how the fuck we're different, I'm
Mm.
just leaning the opposite direction because I don't have the energy to fight or to point fingers or to scream or to worry about who's bad and who's evil. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to focus on doing good and being good. I ain't got time. So that's what I'm saying
I
about.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better than that. I love that's a great a great sentiment. I could not agree more. And again, this is why I think that your work is your voice. I think your voice is great, and it's real. And I think that's the only way anybody can connect and enjoy art, writing, comedy is if it just taps into something that's in them. And
Mhm.
I think what you do does that. So what I would say is, I know you're gonna keep going, just keep going, keep doing a thing, because it's really funny and fun and enjoyable. I think even I'm looking forward to seeing this show, Blood and Babylon, because I want to see. I always think that comedy writers and funny people, I think it translates into drama because when there's a patina of comedy in a drama, there's a little show called The Sopranos. I don't know if
I
anyone's
don't
ever
know
heard of
if
that one.
anyone heard it.
Never heard of that one. The show to me, there's so much comedy in a show like that. So
Mhm.
with what you're doing, I know that you're going to weave those funny tidbits into the dialogue in that horrific situation. They're discovering a body with whatever they're doing. So I say keep going. This was a real pleasure. It was so nice to talk to you and see you again, and I hope we can keep in touch, and I don't know, who the hell knows, maybe you come back on when all these things are a go. All right?
Yeah, I would love to do this podcast. Thank you for messaging me and reaching out.
You
And
got it.
this was I told you like this is my first podcast in a long time. I've just been like in
Yeah,
my little hole creating. And so the stuff like this
yeah.
encourages me to like come back out. And I'm happy that you asked me. So thank you.
Kerry, one last thing before I send you on your way. I've taken up so much of your time. You've been so gracious. We do a little something on the show called "My Old Man Used to Say." Do you have something that your dad used to say, a piece of wisdom or something helpful, or anything really?
Yeah, my dad he still currently says it. He always says if you throw enough shit on the wall, something has to stick. And so I feel like that's a metaphor for my career, and I'm gonna take that. Something has to stick. Stick man.
Something.
Pew, pew, pew,
Stickman. Oh my god, I love it. Full circle.
pew.
I love it. He's absolutely right, and I think that you're throwing a lot of great stuff at the wall, and he's a good man. What's his name? What's his first name?
Neville.
Neville.
Mhm.
And is he with us back east? He's back east now still? Or is he
Yeah, well, he just moved to Atlanta, so he's
Oh, he moved to Atlanta. Okay.
when you said, "Is he with us?" I was
No, I
like,
mean, like, I don't know,
in a
like,
spiritual
I
sense,
just
is he
wanna make
back
sure.
east?
I'm sorry.
Where's heaven? Is heaven north? I have no idea. No, he's
Heaven's
a
north, I think. I don't
okay,
know.
no,
Neville,
he's
thank
he's
God
down
Neville's with us.
south, but not in
He's
hell.
down south. Not no, 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 no. Neville's a good man.
Well, I ain't
I
go
just
that
like the
far, but no, I'm just
No,
joking.
there you go, man. Look, hey, don't for being I'm gonna tell you right now, I have 2 little ones. Being a dad is not easy. Men, we're the complex, flawed people. So, we're doing our best. But that is a great piece of advice. And thank you for being with us today. And keep throwing that shit at the wall,
I
please.
sure
Okay?
will.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. All right. Thank you so much, Kerry. Nice to
Thank
talk to
you.
you. All right. All right, guys, I thought that was great. Kerry, fantastic. I'm so happy she was able to come on, and I really appreciate that. Pulling for her for all those great projects. I think something's going to stick. Just like Neville said, throw that shit at the wall, something's going to stick. And I know she's throwing good stuff out there into the world. And I really had a good time with her. So, Fatherless Cheat Sheet, every Thursday, new episode, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Tell your friends. Check us out. Come find me on Instagram. Fatherless Cheat Sheet Podcast at gmail.com. And we'll see you soon next time on the Fatherless Cheat Sheet. All right.